good afternoon, good morning, welcome to the look ahead for Monday the 24th of June. Now it's a relatively quiet week, but there is a few standout events, so there's some things definitely not to miss. As we go through Monday, very light on the data front. We've got some German IFO data. Now the PMI prints from Friday last week did show a surprising miss. And that is showing that the pickup in the Eurozone is definitely weighing on markets. And remember the snap election that France called because of the worry about the swing to the far right in the Eurozone and worries about, a Frexit, just like we had a Brexit, was weighing on investors' minds, particularly if far right parties start coming in to European countries, then there's much more likely to be animosity and a desire to pull out of the Eurozone. So that's a natural drag on the euro. So if we see a big miss here in the Eurozone data and for the German IFO print, then some of those worries that came on Friday are going to grow. So now this is not a reason that I can see to obviously sell the euro dollar, but there is a bias on selling the euro dollar. So any sort of retracements higher, look for euro US dollar sellers, and that could potentially be a catalyst, but it's not an event I'm covering because I don't think it's high conviction enough. So it's a relatively quiet start to Monday, but on Tuesday we do have the Canadian CPI print. Now the latest minutes out of the Bank of Canada showed that the governing council was considering delaying the last rate cut that it executed. And it was thinking of delaying that till July. And also in the minutes, it talked about, any easing was going to be gradual. So that allowed the CAD just to pick up a little bit. So there probably will be a two-way opportunity here. If we see very strong inflation data, then markets will think that the Bank of Canada is going to be slower in terms of interest rate cuts, and they'll start pricing out the prospect of a July rate cut, right? However, if it comes in well below market expectations, then markets think, oh, hang on, the governing council will be able to have more confidence that the inflation battle's being won. So definitely opportunity there with the CAD. Won't be missing that. Of course, look for the cheat sheet in terms of preparation. US consumer confidence forms part of the big picture for the US, but won't be covering it. Looking at the Aussie CPI now, this is important. Inflation data is super important for Australia. The RBA have been more cautious recently, and they've been stressing those first quarter inflation risks, and the second quarter inflation data is going to be super important, but that doesn't come until the end of July. However, this will sort of start to set the mood for markets' expectations, whether the RBA are going to have to hike interest rates again. It's still possible they may have another interest rate hike in them, as it were. So a high print here, you can see some Australian dollar gains against the New Zealand dollar, but a big miss here and markets will start to become relieved. So, if we got a big miss in the data here and we saw a big beat and it's strong to the upside, then I'd look for pound Aussie dollar selling. That could be a really attractive medium term move. So definitely one to be looking at on Wednesday. Then through to Thursday, not much going on that's grabbing my attention. Got some US GDP, but it's the final data, so shouldn't move much. Durable goods. The PCE, this is not the main one we're looking for. That's coming on Friday. Japanese CPI shouldn't be moving markets much unless it's an absolutely shocking surprise. Not expecting that to move markets, where it's a little bit higher, a little bit lower. So what? Shouldn't impact the yen majorly. And the Bank of Japan going so slowly and raising interest rates that it'd have to be something really stunning to get them moving with a sense of urgency. However, the PCE print is very important. The Fed's last interest rate meeting, they signalled that they're only expecting one rate cut this year. So we have seen that sort of dollar strength come in since that last Fed meeting. We get a high print here, and if inflation's moving in the wrong direction, we could easily see another boost in the dollar. That way on equity markets, it will for sure be a good event to look for. So really, it's a quiet week with the Canadian CPI print, the first interesting data point, the Australian CPI print, the next one, and the PCE print out of the US, the most hotly anticipated event of the week. Obviously, for subscribers, I will be giving the cheat sheet so you can see exactly what deviations to look for and which currency pairs look like having the most volatile potential. And that will be updated on the cheat sheet, usually the evening before, but certainly before the event. Okay, folks, that is it for now. Don't forget there is a pound-dollar swing trade bias, and that could be held throughout this week because there's nothing majorly out of the UK, and the US data, with the exception of the PCE print, would be relatively mild in terms of its impact for the dollar. So pound-dollar sell bias, particularly when it rallies higher, remains viable.